Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Emma in elementary and I am so excited for us to dive into how to small groups today. As we know, Tier 2 and 3 instruction, aka small groups, is a vital piece to our effective teaching puzzle. In many states, teachers are even scored during their formal observations on grouping. When I was a first year teacher, I struggled with small groups, and now I want to share my new and improved methods with you. In this video, I'm going to show you how I personally organize and create small groups in my classroom and how I implement them into RTI, or response to intervention, and rotations. And I'm also going to discuss incorporating the groups that you create into stations. Now, let's dive into creating your small groups. Now, the first step in a successful small group is to create one in which students can learn from and lean on one another. You also want to assign various roles to each group member, which is something that we'll get into later in the video. I create groups in Google Sheets, and you can also use Microsoft Excel for both math and reading. And I organize them in colors because that is my classroom theme. I've seen teachers name their groups different sea animals or other things like that to match their theme. It is important that you give your small groups names that do not make it obvious what their abilities or levels are. Like, you don't want a group that's high, and then a group that's average, and then a group that's low. You want to give them names. This is why it's good to match it to your classroom theme, because the students are less likely to question it because they know what their theme is. You should have different group names for both math and reading, whether it's all high or all low, because a student that's high in one might not be in another. Notice how I have two groups for average in both math and reading. This is because you will have some average students that may be on the higher end of the academic spectrum, and then other average students that are on the lower end. You don't want a group that's too big or one that's not designed to meet the needs of specific students in each group. Now let's talk about how to place students into these groups. It's important that you use data in programs and applications that your school or class use to place students into the small groups that you create. You also want to ensure that you're looking at more than one data source. This is to ensure accuracy. We do not want to have any factors determine their placement from just one data point, so we use multiple. These are a few things that my school and class use that help me determine where to place my students. You'll also want to look at any formal and informal assessments that you do in class to help your placements, even if it's something as quick as give me a thumbs up, middle thumb, or thumbs down if you understand this, because that's a really quick way to see if I need to pull this group for this standard. Keep in mind that students will move around throughout the year, and you will likely have some students that leave and join a different small group if it's more appropriate for them, and that should happen. Once you have students placed into their appropriate groups, you want to make sure that you make a plan for what you will be doing with each group when you meet with them. This is a template that I have created and is available in my TPT store, M and LMN, which is linked in the description. Now, when planning for your small groups, you want to have your group name along with what materials will be needed and what you will be working on them with. For example, if I was planning for my greens in reading, because they are my high reading group, I will expect them to bring their leveled reader to the back table, and we'll have a discussion about what they will have read independently. They'll share notices, wonders, inferences, and I'll ask some questions about it. For fun, I would also have them rate their book once it's finished. This notes section is there in case there's anything extra that you want to do with your group while you are meeting with them, or for observations of what you can do or change the next time that you meet with them. Now, you might be wondering, well, how often do I need to pull these groups? Or what is the rest of the class doing while I'm with this group? Let me show you how I do it in my classroom. Our RTI time at my school is called Pride Time, and it is 30 minutes a day designated to math intervention. I have 4 different activities going on with my groups at this time, as you can see on the screen, so that each group has something to work on during this block. Now, notice how I have 2 groups in each block so that we can avoid boredom and burnout. You don't want a student working on something for too long and get bored of it, or they get too overwhelmed with it, or they just finish it and have nothing else to do. As you can see with the timer in the top corner, this is a 30-minute time period, so each group has 50 minutes to do their task, which is switched around daily. On this particular day, my blues had to complete unfinished work and then meet with me for their small group time. The next day, they'd be practicing their math skills and working on a choice board that reflects what we are currently learning in math. With this method, I can meet with each group at least 3 to 4 times a week. Remember earlier in the video when I mentioned each student having a role in your small group? When you are having them meet with you, you want to assign roles. For example, if they're solving a division problem, you want one person to use base 10 blocks, one person to actually draw the base 10 blocks, one of them to use partial quotients to solve, and then someone to check the work with multiplication. Everyone should have a part. These slides are for sale on my TPT for $15, which comes with what you see here and includes all necessary daily slides, including guidance for the first couple of days of school, and links to other resources of mine, including free ones. Now let's go ahead and talk about reading groups. Similar to my RTI math time, reading rotations are split into 4 activities with 2 groups in each. Some students will be working in their reading book or completing a worksheet, others will be meeting with me, some will be on their computers, and then others will be reading level texts for their book club, which is really good for your high students. Now, as far as roles in reading groups, you could have students take turns reading a page and even have them ask each other questions about the text. Everyone should be participating and engaging. Sometimes roles can even be established by the students on their own after they're given their initial guidance by you as the teacher. For my particular schedule, it's not always possible to do reading rotations every single day, but it is vital that they happen at least 3 times a week. This way, I can still see each small group 1 to 2 times a week. Notice how I do not have a timer for the reading rotations. This is because this time is not specifically built into my schedule like RTI time, so I need to use what I have, which always changes every day. When you're scheduling and planning for your small group meetings, it is really important that you keep in mind when you have students being pulled out or even have someone pushing into your classroom. You do not want students to miss out on their small group with you or required minutes with a resource or other special services teacher due to poor planning. Finally, let's talk about how you can incorporate your small groups into stations. I am a teacher that loves stations and task cards, and they present a wonderful opportunity for your students to continue to work in their small groups together. This is especially great for when students are really comfortable with the group that they already work with regularly and that they're familiar with. This particular example is for math stations, so you could have your math groups work together. This, of course, can be used for reading stations as well. Again, these slides are on my TPT, linked in the description, so that you can get your hands on them and change them to match your classroom needs. That is all in today's how-to small groups. I hope that you learned something from this and that you were able to incorporate a new piece into your classroom. I will be making more how-tos and other kinds of videos in the future, so stay tuned in. Thank you for watching and get out there with your fantastic small groups. See you next time.